I've sat in that boardroom over 100 times. Same polished oak table, same chairs that creak slightly when you shift. Same bitter coffee and chipped mugs. I usually sit near the window habit, I guess, the seat closest to the quarterly reports that morning. I thought it was just business as usual. I had my notes, my quarterly forecasts, a clean shave, and a pressed suit. I even cracked a joke with the receptionist on my way in, something about finally getting to that break-even point on that messy acquisition. She laughed. I laughed. Everything felt normal until it didn't. The new CEO, fresh out of Silicon Valley, couldn't have been more than 34, stood at the head of the table, smooth suit, no tie, leaned in, smiled. I want to thank you all for your continued work and commitment. The standard stuff. Then he paused, glanced at me, and while we're on the subject of moving forward, we've decided to bring in a new direction for our financial leadership. Silence. He looked me right in the eye and said it like he was reading off a script. You've done incredible work over the years. We believe the company needs a more modern, agile financial approach. Someone with a different energy. Different energy. I blinked, tried to process. That's when I realized this wasn't an update. This was it. Effective immediately. No prior talks. No gentle heads up. Just a handshake. A box, and the same. Damn elevator I'd ridden for 22 years now, carrying me out like dead weight. I walked past the desks I helped pay for, the people I mentored. Some avoided eye contact. Others just looked, stunned. I didn't say much. Didn't trust myself to speak. I just kept hearing the words in my head to old school. It echoed louder than the clack of my shoes on the marble floor. They didn't even give me a final word, not even a thank you. Just a sentence. In silence, I was there before the paint dried on the walls, before we had a marketing department, before the coffee machine, before there were even enough chairs in the break room. I was their first full-time finance hire, brought in back. When the CEO still wore beat-up sneakers and we held team meetings in the stairwell because the conference room echoed too much. They didn't have systems back then. They had receipts in shoeboxes and numbers scribbled on legal pads. I stayed late back when no one else did. Back when payroll meant choosing which vendor wouldn't get paid that month. I wrote the internal controls manual myself, line by line, while eating cold noodles at 11 p.m. I missed things I shouldn't have missed. My son's school play. My wife's birthday dinner, 3 years in a row. And my dad's funeral. I zoomed in from the conference room. No one knew. I told them I had a client call, because I believed this place mattered, that my role in it mattered. I kept the lights on through 2 recessions, 4 executive turnovers, and a near acquisition that could have killed us if I hadn't flagged the due diligence error in a footnote. One line that saved the company millions, and yet all of that history, all that sacrifice, gone with a smile and a thanks for your service. You'd think after 2 decades of giving them everything, my time, my health, my name, they'd offer me something more than an HR packet and an intern escorting me out the door. But I guess that's the thing about legacy. It only matters until it's inconvenient. They never said the word. No one ever says it out loud, but you hear it in the pauses. In the way they stop asking for your input during meetings, in how they start forwarding you articles titled, "Why Financial Technology Needs Fresh Eyes." You notice when they begin scheduling key decisions without you, when younger managers start calling you sir in emails, when someone jokes about not knowing what a fax machine is, and everyone glances at you. That last year I became invisible in plain sight. I still showed up early, still submitted every report on time, still caught mistakes others missed. Things their spreadsheets didn't flag, but experience did. But the tone had shifted. They brought in a new analytics guy. It's barely 30. And suddenly I was slowing down the pivot. They pitched automation tools I'd already tested years ago, tools I'd shelved because they didn't work. But no one asked me. They just rolled them out again, like I was some kind of relic watching the future pass by. The day they let me go. The CEO said it gently, like he was offering me early retirement, We just need someone who's more aligned with the current energy of our growth strategy. Current energy, another phrase that says everything without saying anything. Let me be clear, this wasn't about competence. I'd never missed a target, never once gone over budget, never once dropped the ball. What changed was them, and what they saw when they looked at me. Gray hair, experience lines, legacy knowledge. They used to call that leadership. Now it's a liability. And I sat there, listening to them tell me I was being restructured, knowing damn well what it meant they were playing the age card, and hoping I wouldn't make noise because men like me were expected to take it with dignity, to leave quietly, and I did, but I didn't forget. The first morning after, I didn't set an alarm. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling. For the first time in 22 years, there was no inbox waiting, no spreadsheet deadlines, no pre-dawn conference call with the East Coast team, just silence at first. I told myself this was a break, a breather, a time to finally sleep in, maybe read those books I kept shelving for later. But the silence got loud fast. I found myself checking my work phone, even though they'd already shut it off. Muscle memory. Every few hours, I'd tap where the app used to be. Nothing. I kept expecting someone to reach out, an old colleague, a mentor, anyone. 6 weeks passed. No emails. No thank you notes. Not even a forwarded meme from the guy I used to eat lunch with every Tuesday. They'd moved on like I was never there. I'd walk through the grocery store and catch myself calculating margins in my head. Price points, distribution costs. Useless. Now, just ghost habits from a life that disappeared overnight. I tried applying for jobs, hit submit on a few resumes. But even the job postings felt like they were coded in another language culture fit. Vibrant startup energy, young and hungry team. I used to build teams like that. Now I wasn't even worth a callback. My wife told me to rest. My daughter brought me tea, but even they could sense it. I wasn't me anymore. Not fully. Because when your identity is tied to what you do, and then that gets ripped away, you don't just lose a job, you lose your footing. Those 6 weeks weren't quiet. They were an echo chamber of every fear I'd pushed down for 2 decades. Was that all I was? A title on a door they replaced with someone cheaper? I wasn't sure yet, but I was about to find out. They thought I was just another corporate dinosaur. Polished shoes, neat spreadsheet, nice guy who wouldn't fight back. But what they didn't know was that I'd been building something long before the restructuring came. Every executive lunch, every budget meeting, I was learning, watching, absorbing. They thought I was stuck in old school finance. But after hours, it was neck deep in something else. For the past 3 years, I'd been developing a platform, a back-end tool for small business accounting, automated invoicing, real-time cash flow projections, tax-ready categorization. No. Fluff. Just what real people needed. I never mentioned it to them. Never filed it through the company. Didn't need to. The LLC was in my wife's name. The trademarks, it's already pending. The beta version, quietly tested by 5 local businesses. I'd helped on the side. Bakery, a mechanic. My brother-in-law's landscaping company, every evening. After the corporate world clocked out, I logged into mine. Some nights, I doubted it. Wondered if I was just playing pretend entrepreneur. But the results came in, little by little, fewer. Errors for clients, time saved, revenue tracked with precision. One day, a bakery owner texted, "Your tool saved me from bouncing payroll this month." You have no idea what that means. Actually, I did. So when the CEO looked me in the eye and called me to old school, I wanted to laugh, because in the time they were trying to make me obsolete. I was quietly designing the very system that would make them irrelevant. 6 weeks after they let me go, I wasn't updating my resume. I was launching version 1.0 of my own company. No office politics, no fancy title, just me and something real. They didn't see it coming, but that's the thing about being underestimated. It gives you all the space. You need to win quietly. I didn't rush into it. After 6 weeks of watching the old place flail, I took a breath, closed my eyes and asked, what do I want? Not what they needed. What I needed No more eyebrows raised at my gray hair. Number. More vibrant culture buzzwords. No more waiting for someone to tell me I belong. So I did 3 things. And I realized something. They didn't want me back because they valued me. They wanted me back because they underestimated how much they'd lost when they let me walk out with that cardboard. That was the best moment. Not the call. Not the neediness in their voice. But knowing I didn't need them. They needed me. And that kind of power. The quiet kind. The kind earned in silence. Built-in patience that stays with you. It took me months to understand it. At first, getting fired felt like betrayal, a gut punch, a humiliation I wore like a shadow. You don't just give 22 years of your life to something and walk away whole. But looking back now, with distance, with clarity, I wasn't fired. I was freed. Freed from a company that outgrew its own values. Freed from meetings that went nowhere. From micromanagement. From performative innovation. I was freed from waiting my turn. From sitting quietly while newer. Louder voices took credit for what I'd built. I didn't realize how much of myself I'd given away until I stepped outside. Of it, how many holidays I'd skipped. How many birthdays I'd missed. How many dinners I'd eaten. Under fluorescent lights instead of candlelight. The truth is, I was loyal to something that stopped being loyal to me a long time ago. And when they finally cut the cord, yeah, it hurt, but it also made space. Space to think, to breathe, to build my days now. They start with purpose, not panic, not politics, not someone else's agenda. I make products that solve real problems. I talk to customers who are grateful. I hire people based on heart and skill, not just resumes and buzzwords. I don't check in with a boss. I check in with myself. And I've learned something surprising in all this. Sometimes the universe doesn't whisper. It kicks the door down and throws you out, not to punish you, but to push you toward something better. That job. It wasn't my identity. It was just the last chapter before the real. A story began. And this version of me, the one that wakes up proud, curious, free, he's someone I never would have met if I hadn't been forced to walk away, so no. I wasn't fired. I was finally given the chanchetto, become who I was always meant to be, to the company that let me go. Probably don't think about me. I'm just another name on a long-archived HR spreadsheet. Another restructure filed and forgotten. But I think about you, not with anger. Not anymore. Just clarity. You gave me 2 decades of purpose. And in the end, 5 minutes of dismissal. And weirdly, I'm grateful, because letting me go taught me the one thing I never understood while I was with you. I was never just an employee. I was never just a cog. I was never too old school. I was someone who carried your systems when they broke, who mentored when no one else would, who showed up, even when the thanks ran dry, and when you said I didn't fit the new vision. You were right, because the new vision had no space. For what truly matters, loyalty, wisdom, integrity. I used to think my worth was tied to your title, that being your CFO was the pinnacle. But you know what feels better than a C-suite? Ownership of my time, of my choices, of a company that reflects my values. I built something after you, something lasting, human, honest. And it's growing not because I reinvented the wheel, but because I remembered what makes it turn. Now I look at your emails, quarterly reports, missed projections, cultural initiatives, and I feel nothing but peace. You had your shot. You bet against me. And I thank you for it, because the moment you let me go, you gave me back everything you'd forgotten I had. So here's to the company that let me go. You didn't end my story. You gave me the blank page, and I finally had the space to write something real. One, carved out my space. I converted our spare bedroom into a proper office desk in front of the window. Board-grade whiteboard on the wall. Second monitor perched beside my laptop. No more commuting, no more fluorescent lights. Just me, my ideas, and the hum of my own ambition too. Launched with intention. Version 1.0 of my platform went live that Friday at noon. No hype campaign, no PR blitz. I sent a calm, clear email to my beta clients and posted one LinkedIn update. Then I watched. Sign-ups rolled in steadily. People were hungry for a tool that did the work they needed, not some flashy widget the old place peddled. 3. Set my rules. I decided my day would start at 8 a.m., not because someone told me, but because it felt right. I'd spend the first hour on strategy, the next 2 on development, afternoons on client calls, no meetings without agendas, no urgent requests after 6 p.m., no exceptions. Within a month, revenue hit a level that felt surreal. Within 2, I hired my first contractor. By week 10, I was mentoring a small team of 3, all people I trusted and respected. Every decision I made aligned with my values. No layoffs. It's no cost-cutting at the expense of quality. It's no cheaper, faster gimmicks. Just a steady commitment to doing things right. I watched the old company's quarterly report come through, email, their fancy fintech partner, underperforming, their new CFO. Overwhelmed, their stock dipped again. Meanwhile, my little platform was humming along, pleasing customers, paying contractors on time, and growing a reputation for reliability. That's what it feels like to rebuild on your terms, not by climbing someone else's ladder, but by planting your own. And the best part? I wasn't just free of them, I was exceeding them. Every time I hit another milestone, I felt a quiet surge of pride, not for proving them wrong, but for proving to myself that I never needed their permission to succeed. Because the moment they said I was too old school, I realized I'd been too busy building to care. It came on a Thursday. I was reviewing analytics for our newest feature rollout, sipping coffee. Music low, just another productive morning. The phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail. Then I saw the email. Subject line. Urgent follow-up. Request for a call. From the new CEO's assistant. Same man who'd once said I was no longer aligned with the company's vision. Turns out, vision was blurring. Their replacement CFO? Gone. Burned out. Couldn't handle the internal chaos. Vendors were walking. Clients were calling it disorganized. Their shiny new software partnership? Crashing mid-demo during investor meetings? The company was spiraling. So they reached out. They called me back. Not with an apology. They're too proud for that. But with a carefully worded opportunity to reconnect. To advise in a consultative capacity, to restore confidence in key financial systems. In other words, we need help. Please come back. I sat there staring at the screen, coffee going cold. Months ago, I would have dropped everything just to be useful again, just to be back in the room now. I had my own room, my own word, my own schedule, and frankly, my own leverage. I didn't say yes, not immediately. I asked questions, the hard ones. It's the kind they used to brush off. What's your current burn rate? Who's on the new leadership team? What are you offering? And what are you trying to fix? I stammered. A little danced around numbers.